Hey homeschool world, my name's Connie Merritt and I'd like to welcome you to the Home Educators Workroom. Today we're going to continue with the idea of how. And last time we talked about checking your state's requirements. This time we're going to talk about the next part of checking what your state would have you do. And as you take a look, you need to look for something called the Standard Course of Study and also minimum requirements for graduation for high school. So as you take a look at these two things, they're kind of divided in two in most states. Our state, when you go to look online, it's sitting in a kind of a handbook area for homeschoolers in the State Department of Non-Public Instruction. You might also, if you can't find it in your non-public instruction area, will definitely be able to find it in the public instruction area. This is the guideline that all teachers use in the public school system to make sure that they are on target and that their kids have got the things that the state is requiring them to have in terms of being able to pass to the next grade. So as we take a look at this, the Standard Course of Study is generally K through 8, and that K through 8 is going to list the core courses. So that would be math, science, English, and social studies. And those core courses, it shows within that what each student should be able to do in order to pass on to the next grade. So general understanding of reading in the early grades, general understanding of math in the early grades. And as you go on, maybe by the time you get to 8th grade, your son or daughter, 7th or 8th grade, may be starting pre-algebra or algebra, depending on where they are mathematically and what they do in their state. So taking a look at that, kind of consuming that list is vital. That list cannot be ignored. It's going to show you what's required. Now, you don't have to do exactly what they say. You can go beyond what they say. You can do more than what the school system is asking of their students. And your child may be able to go quicker. We've already talked about that. Some students may be able to go quicker. You don't have to linger just because, maybe some curriculum you purchase says you've got to do 5 sheets. 5 worksheets. So if you decide to do 2 worksheets or 3 worksheets and you know with the test that your son or daughter has already got that concept, move. Keep on going. You can do it. The next part would be the minimum requirement for high school, and that minimum requirement for graduating high school and earning a diploma would generally be for most school systems 9 through 12. Some of them may be 8 through 12, and you're just going to have to check and see what they count in your district as a high school. So looking for those, finding out what that standard course of study and what that minimum requirement is, and that's going to help you determine what you're going to purchase or not going to purchase. And I want to talk about what not to purchase for just a second. Some people have gone out and purchased tons of curriculum for pre-K and K and even in some areas first grade. And I'm going to tell you that as you go, there's going to be stuff you're going to have to purchase, but you don't have to do that for the super early learners. Those early learners can do things with just the free stuff that you have sitting around in your house. So let's look at the pre-K and the K for just a second. Pre-K and K, they're going to need to learn their numbers, their letters, shapes, colors. Now, you know that you can do most of that with the things that you have sitting around the house. Then they need to learn about following directions, and how to do that is something that you can teach them just by doing life lessons every day. Learning how to use simple words and sentences. Those simple words are generally 3-letter words, and maybe being able to write those down. But within that writing, they're going to need to develop some fine motor skills, and those fine motor skills come right here. Fine motor skills in learning how to write, holding the pencil correctly, being able to properly make a letter or a number or a shape. Don't expect those young brains to be able to do that right off the bat. Still developing up there. And so you make it, let's see what we can do today, as opposed to, you didn't do it right. Make it fun, something that they want to do. The next thing would be the thing that everybody hears, play. Playing teaches a child so much. And so getting out in the yard and using the gross motor skills of learning how to throw a ball, learning how to kick, learning how to run and play and do all of those fun things that we all know kids love to go out and do, getting that energy out. Then you've got arts and crafts and music and you name it. Sitting down and reading to your child. You can do that at any given moment. And doing that before bed, doing that during the daytime. These are skills. They're sitting there and learning how to listen. And that in of itself, if you can learn how to listen, learn how to follow directions, then the rest of it can kind of come together fairly easy. So let's see, how would a student learn how to listen? You decide that you're going to sit down and your son or daughter has already learned their shapes, their colors. And so you're going to ask them to follow directions and pick up a red crayon and draw a circle. Now, it doesn't need to be a perfect circle. It just needs to show you that they understand the concept of a circle, that a circle has smooth shape to it, not hard, squared off shape. So you need to see that they understand that. As you go through and further along, you may notice that maybe it would be helpful for you to get, you've probably seen them in the dollar store or maybe in a bookstore or a used bookstore, but these simple little workbooks, they don't cost very much. Usually they're very thin, or you might find some that are thick and cover a lot of things. If you're going to purchase anything, purchase those. But you're going to have to purchase some high-end stuff later on and make those things happen. I would say right now, use your pots and pans, use your crayon box, use the things that you have access to that are inexpensive and something that your son or daughter is going to love to do anyway. So let's move a little bit further down in the grades. As you get a little bit further, and you start looking at what that child is going to need in order to graduate, that list becomes less about the skills that they're going to learn and more about the content that they're going to learn and the things that they're going to have to be able to show that they understand as they test, as they're getting ready to apply to colleges. So let's look at that college concept. I will tell you that when my daughter was finishing up 8th grade, I had her sit down, talk to me about, did she want to go to college? She did. What did she think that she wanted to do? At that time, she wasn't sure what she wanted to do, but she knew that there were some colleges that she really was interested in. And so if your son or daughter is interested in a 4-year university, I would recommend that you take down a list of what those universities are and where they would like to go. And even if they don't know exactly what they want to do yet, I mean, they're in 8th grade after all. But if they don't know what they want to do yet, go through and find out what the minimum entry requirement is for those schools. Some schools require huge things like 4 years of a foreign language, 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years of science. Notice 4. And then there's some where they kind of break it up a little bit, where maybe it's only 3 years of math and 2 years of a foreign language. So know what that is, and I would say use that to additionally help shape what your high school homeschool is going to look like. And that way you don't have any surprises and things that you're having to make up for in the last year or two, if not the last year of their schooling. So things to consider before you purchase any curriculum are the things that I've just listed. That standard course of study may go by a different name. If you put it in the search engine of most of the Department of Non-Public or Public Instruction websites, you're going to get something back that's going to show you something similar to that, even if they name it something differently in your state. You definitely are going to get that minimum requirement for a diploma. And every state is a little bit different when it comes, as I've said, to homeschooling. And that homeschooling requirement may look very specific for what you have to do for a high schooler, the number of hours that they have to have achieved some sort of educable moment. So as you take a look at what is required, keep in mind these things as you go through and start figuring out what your curriculum is going to look like. It can be in your order, it can be in your time, and based on what your son or daughter is able to do in that moment, in their schooling. So just consider these things as you're starting the process. Don't jump in and start purchasing something before you take a look at what that standard course of study is for your state. Wish you great success, and hope you found this helpful. I'll be back with you in the next week with another video. Thank you so much.